That knot in your shoulders that never goes away? That's not stress. You lie awake at 3 a.m. mind racing. You feel that heavy weight when someone asks for one more favor. This isn't anxiety. You've spent years suppressing your anger because good people don't get mad. Now you're exhausted, unable to say no to anyone. This is what happens when you dam up your natural emotional flow. The people you can't stand, they're showing you the power you won't claim. Your hatred is a map to your unlived life. Carl Jung called this the shadow, every impulse, emotion, and potential you've learned to reject. But here's the truth most people miss. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's where you keep your denied power. Your psyche turns buried feelings into physical pain and mental distress. But when you master your shadow, something shifts. You become immune to manipulation. No one can use your guilt or shame against you because you've already claimed them. By the end of this, you'll understand why integration, not avoidance, makes you psychologically untouchable. To reclaim that power, we must first confront the fracture. Let's trace the moment you became fragmented. Jung defined the shadow as the unconscious personality that forms when your ego decides certain traits are unacceptable. It's everything you learned to hide to survive your early world. When did you first learn that anger wasn't allowed? That wanting attention was selfish? That being ambitious made you greedy? Every time your family or culture taught you to hide a natural feeling, a piece of your real self got pushed into the shadow. But here's what runs deeper. You're carrying the unlived life of your parents, the dreams they abandoned, the risks they never took. All of this gets passed down as invisible rules about what's acceptable and what's dangerous. Your father wanted to be an artist, but became an accountant for security. Your mother dreamed of traveling, but stayed home because good mothers don't abandon their families. Now you're afraid to create, afraid to explore. You might be living out their disappointment. Stop and ask yourself, what 5 words describe the person you secretly envy or despise? Those words are your shadow's vocabulary, because what you repress, you project. The traits you condemn most harshly in others are usually the exact qualities you've disowned in yourself. That coworker who constantly needs attention, interrupting meetings, always sharing their opinion. Your irritation feels righteous. But what if that intense reaction is revealing your own buried hunger for recognition? The thing that disgusts you in them might be the power you're afraid to own in yourself. This creates an inner split that drains your vitality. You're not just rejecting behaviors, you're rejecting parts of your essential nature. And when you fragment yourself this way, you hand others the keys to control you. The person who's integrated their ambition can't be shamed for wanting success. The person who's owned their anger can't be controlled through guilt. But when you've exiled these energies into your shadow, they become weapons others can use against you. So, how do you stop being a target? The answer lies in the first principle of shadow work, making contact with what's been exiled. But to do that, you must first drop the moral judgments. Here's the first principle of shadow work. You can't destroy your shadow. You can only become conscious of it, and consciousness changes everything. Your shadow is not your dark side, it is your hidden strength. Start here. Notice which people or situations provoke disproportionate emotion in you. These aren't random triggers. They're mirrors reflecting what you've denied in yourself. The stronger you react, the more of that quality you've been hiding. Let's look at what's really hiding beneath the emotions you've been taught to shame. Anger, the emotion that makes you bad, is actually your boundary-setting mechanism and your fuel for necessary change. Envy, the feeling that makes you feel small and petty, is actually your psyche's internal GPS, pointing you toward your unlived potential. Think about the last time you felt envious. What if that feeling was your psyche saying, "This is what I'm capable of. This is where my energy wants to go"? Ambition, sensuality, pride, even what you call selfishness, each contains creative energy that's been locked away. The process isn't about acting out these impulses recklessly. It's about observing them without judgment, allowing awareness to replace repression. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to moralize their shadow work. They label traits as good or bad, which keeps them unconscious. The shadow doesn't respond to moral judgment. It responds to honest recognition. Jung said, "The greater the light, the longer the shadow." As you grow your conscious personality, your shadow grows too. The more successful you become, the more you'll need to integrate your capacity for failure. The more loving you become, the more you'll need to own your capacity for hatred. This isn't a problem. It's the natural expansion of consciousness. But recognition alone isn't enough. The real transformation happens when you learn to transmute what you've discovered. That's where integration comes in. Integration means allowing all parts of your psyche to serve your conscious values. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. This is the moment you take back control. Imagine you've spent years shaming yourself for being controlling at work. You're terrified people will discover this. But what if that energy you've been fighting is actually your natural gift for organization and strategic thinking? The moment you stop fighting this aspect and start channeling it consciously, everything changes. Your confidence increases, your decision-making becomes clearer, and paradoxically, you become less controlling because you're not fighting your own nature anymore. This is what Jung called emotional sovereignty. When you bring your shadow in, no one can wound you with what you've already owned. Here's the difference. An unintegrated person reacts defensively when their shadow is triggered. Someone calls them selfish, and they either collapse in shame or explode in rage. But an integrated person responds with clarity. Yes, I can be selfish sometimes. In this situation, I'm choosing to prioritize my needs because that's what serves everyone best. When you own your capacity for anger fully, it transforms. It becomes your ability to set clear boundaries. It becomes your fuel for necessary confrontations. It becomes the energy that protects what matters to you. The result? Your reclaimed energy returns as confidence, presence, and quiet power. Instead of collapsing at the end of each day from the effort of being good, you become someone who walks into rooms and people notice. Instead of that anxious voice constantly asking, "What will they think?" You operate from a calm center that can't be shaken. You're no longer spending psychological resources fighting yourself. That energy becomes available for creation, for relationship, for the work that matters. This is what Jung meant by individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you actually are, not who you think you should be. True untouchability is inner invulnerability born from radical self-acceptance. When you know yourself completely, including your capacity for pettiness, jealousy, and selfishness, external criticism loses its sting because it can't tell you anything you don't already know. You become untouchable, not because you're perfect, but because you're honest. Not because you have no flaws, but because you've made friends with them. Before we close, I'm going to give you a one-step exercise you can do tonight to begin dialoguing with the shadow you've been running from. Tonight, I want you to try something. Name one emotion you've buried, one aspect of yourself you've been ashamed of. Maybe it's your anger, your envy, your need for attention, your ambition. Instead of judging it, ask, what does this energy want to teach me? What is it trying to show me about my unlived potential? Because here's the truth. The same forces you fear in yourself are the raw materials of your strength. Your anger can become your boundaries. Your envy can become your ambition. Your selfishness can become your self-respect. Your pride can become your confidence. The goal isn't to eliminate your shadow. It's to consciously collaborate with it. When you stop fighting these aspects and start channeling them toward your values, you reclaim the energy you've been wasting on internal warfare. The people who seem most naturally confident, most magnetically powerful, they haven't eliminated their darkness. They've learned to dance with it. They've made their shadow their ally instead of their enemy. This is the secret of the psychologically untouchable. Their power comes from acceptance, not denial. If this resonated, subscribe to Meaningful Odyssey. Every week we explore the timeless wisdom, mental models, and psychological frameworks that help you navigate life with clarity and purpose. We're just getting started. Remember, the only tragedy in life is the unlived life. When you integrate your shadow, You stop running from your own destiny and finally step into the full glorious weight of who you were meant to be. Own your darkness. That's where your power waits.